I need a good picture for a fantasy street, a city street. When we last left our fellowship, the city was falling down around them, or at least proceeding to. We were in the city of, well, roughly translated, Red Valley, in the lowlands, surrounded by the fogs and ungovernable magics of the lowlands. Uh, Kept only at bay from the city for time beyond telling, by the four um, gigantic statues of Nullresian protectors. Protectors? Is that right? Did I get that right, James?
Bins?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Nullresian protectors, the four Nullresian protectors that had apparently, their likenesses that were protecting the city at four quadrants. Um, and something happened.
The Norwegian word translates as bouncer because they just don't want any riffraff coming in.
And the riffraff in this case being critters and
Catlings.
mind affecting. The fog affects everybody differently. Sometimes it's quite quick. Sometimes it's heightened by, heightened emotions on the part of the person, which tend to go hand in hand with being exposed to the fog because you start to panic and then it makes it worse. But the city itself was kept clear. Travel in and out largely handled through mist barges that could travel up to the Midlands, up above, miles away, that kind of thing. There's ways out on foot, but of course, considerably more fraught with peril. Something happened. All the magic suddenly extinguished, removed, excised. Take your disturbing verb and put it here. From the statues, and all hell basically breaking loose as the world without begins to creep within, and the statues themselves, engineeringly speaking, quite a bit taller than they ought to be for self-sufficiency, starting to crack and crumble and fall. Panic in the streets, all that kind of thing. You guys are just outside of the inn where you've been staying. I don't think we ever named the inn. I feel like we should have. Anybody got a good one? So we can remember.
Goblin.
What's that?
It's always the Glaven Goblin.
The Glaven Goblin. All right, it's always the Glaven Goblin. In this case, almost has to be ironic. Like it's like the husband's like, "You won't let me have old Matilda's, so I'm calling it the Glaven Goblin." And the wife's like, "That was your ex-girlfriend. I'm not letting you call it that. You can name it after your ex-girlfriend by calling it the Glaven Goblin." Fine. And that's what it is. He says it's just a bad in joke. She says it's after the ex-girlfriend.
A bad in joke?
Ha ha! Oh.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're barred.
All right. So out in the street, if I remember right, Viren's, Wrangler Ann, damn it. I swear it's going to be a surname after a while, damn it. I feel like most everybody who isn't out in the street by this point. Well, I know actually Rowan had been trying to like sort of get the innkeeper and his wife going, and there were some problems there, some complications there. And I feel as though Anne had also grabbed the cook and said, "Come on, you're coming with us. Let's get out of here," kind of thing. I think it was the cook. Anne?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay. Is there a thing you have to do to form a bond with somebody? Like, is it a role kind of a thing, or does it just happen?
It's any scene I'm in with them.
And then you can just say, "I want to make a bond with that person."
Let me confirm in the text here.
Please do. I want to know how that works because I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to come up more than once. Varenz had taken a look at the situation, and he and Anne had conferred and thought in both cases that the mist barges might be a little bit risky or possibly overrun or both, especially as magic appears to be, or at least the power in this area seems to be quite on the fritz. What were you doing? Or were you
Oh.
more assessing the situation and looking at the statues and trying to figure out what's what? You, for all intents and purposes, have the best right to sort of I'm not going to come up with the
State
right
knowledge.
sort of uh, claim lore, claim the right to command lore in this situation, I think, as well. So should you be inclined to do so, you could say, and I think you had kind of said something like that because you were talking about the tunnels beneath the city and them being a possible way to get through, past a lot of the uproar and hubbub and all that sort of thing, provided they were still reasonably intact. And I think you'd said, "Oh, Bill, that's more information than I needed." Oh dear. Yikes. Okay. Um, so what was the deal with the bonds, bondsman, bondswoman?
If I spend a scene by their side, or if I speak softly with them, I
I
can
see.
establish a bond.
Nice. I'm just gonna let you start with one though, since we're kind of backfilling into this a little bit, so you can have a bond. Do you have to just write it down and record it on your character sheet at some point at some place? I have to imagine.
Yeah, because they don't become companions, so they're just in the bond section.
Okay. Yeah. So yes. Hax the cook. Hax. Hax. Unless you want it to be a woman, but in this case, I don't know why I immediately went to good old Hax. Anyway, so and Rowan's situation was he was trying to convince the family to kind of go along with you, and they're like, but we can't leave. We're not leaving because the son and daughter-in-law aren't here. We can't leave without them.
That's where I
And
was going to step in with a grandiose lie.
a grand. Okay.
Yes, because I can.
Grandiose lie for me.
Yes. And just all my windows dropped. You needn't worry about them. They ran past the front of the bar towards the mist barges mere minutes ago. Once this all started, they were looking around and didn't see you and just were on their way.
Okay.
I'm sure they'd want you to join with them.
Okay? So there's a bit of a mixed message there because you're telling them they ran for the mist barges, and you guys aren't headed that way.
Right. We don't have. Right.
Which actually, I mean,
we haven't discussed our plan, but that's okay. They were headed towards the exit.
So, okay, we're going to take a little time getting this sorted out, but we're going to get it, by God. There's a couple. Oh, you have a move for this? Because I'm looking at the basic moves going, are you trying to finish them with wits?
No, this is the talk nonsense move.
Oh,
which is
okay.
Talk sense by telling grandiose lies with a straight face, for which I get to roll courage.
I'm just looking at talk sense real quick. When you speak with conviction, ask someone for help. Tell them what you want from them, why they should help you if they're willing to listen. In this case, you
should come with us. I'm sure we'll rejoin them in safety.
You have some short-term thinking with regards to this story, but I mean, if nothing else, it'll get them out of the building. Okay, so this is
That's kind of the point here.
it's functionally a talk sense roll, but basically you're saying you roll courage instead.
I get to roll plus courage.
I
Yes.
like how lying is based on courage. That's an interesting. That's an interesting take on it. I'm not disagreeing.
It takes some pretty big whiskers for that cat to tell that lie.
Yeah. I hear a beep. Let's go look at that beep.
That wasn't me.
That wasn't you?
No.
I think it was James making another terrible pun.
It was.
God. And it just keeps coming. No. All right. Let's see if I can. Oh, that's not going to work. All right, we're just going to have to go without. I'm going to try to worry about how the layout is. So in this, okay, let's take a look at this then. If we're going to, I guess, Carabas, you just need to hit your courage and hit the little dicey thing there next to it, which is that. And there's no real bonus for that. And we can see whether or not we can at least get them out the door.
Oh, wait a second.
So, really quick, it sounds like. Let's see. Carabas, do I have a bond with you?
I don't know. You don't have a lot of bonds. You don't have a lot of bonds with anybody.
Well, I once did tell a lie so good that Rowan still thinks it's true.
You have a bond with him. Bonds are not two-way streets.
No, I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worth. I'm repeating it mostly for my own reminders, but yeah. While Carabas has a bond with you, Rowan, you do not actually have a bond with him.
Yep. So we can't use the bonds that bind us, so that you roll with hope.
Yep. Which is just as well, in this case.
Okay. So I will just do a normal roll with neither hope nor despair.
Yep. Correct.
But with a straight face.
But with a.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Courage 2. Oh dear, that's terrible.
Okay. So when I do that,
that's not what I wanted. Let's see. Hang
on.
Basic move. We're gonna go. We're going.
10 plus. Sorry.
We're looking straight at talk sense. So if you speak with conviction, ask someone, blah blah blah. If we want to listen. On a 7 to plus, they do as you ask to the best of their ability. But on a 9 minus, you owe them a favor. The more you ask of them, the more they'll ask of you, and they can cash any time, even right now, before they do as you ask. All right. Well, this is kind of a double up kind of thing, a little bit, because Rowan, I believe Rowan, wasn't the consequence of your last. Check me if I'm wrong, but weren't you talking sense to them when you tried to get them to go in the first place?
I did.
I did. All right. So at that point in time, they were like, you need to get my son. You're saying, well, I saw them go past already.
So I don't need to go get your son.
But you're still in this situation where they have to agree to something. Rowan has promised that the son's going to be, the innkeeper's family is going to come along. Or is going to be located. All right. You've stepped in it now, Carabas, because it's not the innkeeper who responds. It's his wife. And she is a truly terrifying creature with that most dangerous of weapons. Common sense. Your catnip-shaped kryptonite, as it were. Common sense has been ever the bane of your existence. And she says, "All right, no, we'll go with you. The wizardly one here has already promised we'll find my boy and his wife. But if we're going to relocate and get out of this city, we're going to need the resources to do that. And you're carrying this, and you're going to walk where I can keep my eye on you." And she pulls out from underneath the Actually, kind of unlocks it where it's got this metal band to hold it down into the thing. But she pulls out from underneath the bar like a cask. It's about the size of a loaf of bread, and it's about as heavy.
So it's not bigger than a bread box.
No, it's about as big as a good sized loaf of bread, and it's about as heavy as a car battery. And she hands it to you, or tucks it in your pack. You're lugging this, my smarmy little fur-faced rapscallion, and I'm keeping my eye on you.
Oh, of course, my lady.
All right.
We shall all find our way to safety, I'm sure.
Now, show me which way you think my son went. And she ushers you out of the inn. So yeah, the innkeeper grabs
Carabas jerks his head at Rowan to get him to come along.
the innkeeper grabs his forget-me-stick. The innkeeper or the wife his wife grabs we need names for these guys. Grabs like I don't know. She's got like a haversack kind of thing that she uses when she goes to market, and she's sort of just randomly grabbing crap off of the back shelf as she's rolling out of there, and assembles on the street. It's really been the exchange of maybe half a minute.
I will say that actually might be useful as we, progress with things, because practical.
Which which thing is practical? The bag with stuff crammed into it, the innkeeper and his wife, the cask
The innkeeper's wife bringing a bag of crap.
Yeah, the innkeeper's bag of crap. Yeah, I feel like there's a thing with you that
food is one of those things where we always have to keep track of.
Yeah, and I'm assuming as you guys were piling out of there, yeah. I'm assuming as you guys are piling out of there that I am doing you the service of just saying you're grabbing all of your standard crap. Which means, does anybody else? I know that we have a wolf companion, Virens. Is anybody else got tag-alongs that I need to worry about?
I have a war dog.
You have a war dog. Okay.
Wrangler Ann has horses.
The horses.
Okay, so there's
that's a good thing, because
And I've got my ferret.
I'm all alone.
All alone.
It's because living,
And that is probably the way you prefer it.
That's a
living things know better.
Are you all alone, or do you just look all alone?
I'm all alone. No companions.
I couldn't remember if you had if it was that you did have companions, but they were ghosts or something like that.
Oh yeah, I do have the ability to get companions.
I see.
I just don't have any currently.
Again,
and I'm,
yeah,
always being tormented by Carabas. So
nice.
Hey, you have a ship's worth of fellows that travel with you.
Yep.
oh yay.
Oh yeah, a fellowship, one might even say. Yeah. When is the embodiment of buildings aren't haunted, people are. Okay, so crap bundled up. Thoughts? What now? What next? Where are we going? Where's my boy? Again, says the innkeeper in this case.
I look over at Virens. Which way did he go?
I know a way out. Through the old forges.
So,
if we can just get there.
Yeah.
You took away.
Go ahead.
Roadmap.
Yeah, I took away the roadmap. I'm not especially worried about that particularly.
Okay.
It's more of a checklist than anything else at this point, or just some potential ideas and things of that nature. So I'm not super worried about that. I want to hear what you guys are planning on, where you guys are planning on going more than anything else. And since we have somebody who can sort of command lore, we have somebody who can talk about that kind of thing.
But I want to make it clear that what the cat's trying to do is just say that, whatever direction it is that we want to go, that's the direction that they saw the son and family.
Absolutely. They were way ahead of us in figuring out the best way out of here.
Just making sure we were all on the same page there.
Just, yeah. Okay. So,
I think it's.
Go ahead.
It feels like it's time to kind of establish not only where we're going but what's coming. Varens has this weapon called a faux smelling with a faux smelling quality, which means it gets hot to the touch when in the presence of enemies. He's got one hand on that at all times.
Okay.
So if that comes up, let me know. But while this is going on, he's probably been outside trying to rally and organize people because I think he clearly recognizes bad shit is going down. He just wants to get people moving in a direction.
In some parts of, I should say, and probably even be fair, in many parts of the Tuscan Empire, the sight of a experienced Tuscan warrior in the midst of chaos, calling out commands and trying to organize people is a sign of stability. It's a solid rock in a otherwise chaotic river. We're not in the Tuscan Empire, and I think part of the difficulty here is that people outside of that tend to look at you as untrustworthy. The first thought in this kind of a situation, seeing you, is going to be looter or someone taking it, at the very least, someone taking advantage of it.
Or cause of all of this trouble.
Orc shouting at me in what's already a dangerous situation.
I don't know. Does he have that sort of commanding voice?
I mean, to me, the fact that we have these two obviously, disparate outcomes is the perfect time for dice.
That it is exactly where I was headed in that general direction. And eventually, I'm going to get used to these moves enough to be able to kind of go in there. Now, first of all, I will ask right to this: if it has to do with sort of commanding a group of people, do you have a specific move on your own sheet that goes to that?
I do not.
Okay. In that case,
Isn't that
I feel like it's talk sense. I'm looking at basic moves and I'm trying to call people in there. It's either I want to look at a character sheet real quick because I want to get a feel for this bit here.
Softly is usually you're asking them a question.
Well, it's definitely
trying to get them to go somewhere.
I mean,
well, I would say, as far as triggers go, Varen standing, tall and proud, shouting out, let us get you to safety. Sounds like some conviction right there.
I'm not disagreeing.
Well, but at the same time, he's not really asking them for help.
That's true.
Help us help you. You could ultimately go with the thing that looks like it's supposed to be a combat move, but it's not phrased as such. We just keep them busy.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
At that one.
You buy some time.
It doesn't get them to a purpose, but it will keep them distracted in their attention on you.
Yeah.
It buys some time for one of the smarter members of the fellowship to come up with a plan on where to go.
And really kind of possibly get. I am not this. Honestly, the fact that it's based on courage, inner strength, tenacity. I mean, you're basically getting people to pay attention to you. I am inclined to go that general direction. We're gonna end up shoehorning some of this stuff and maybe retroactively look better and go, oh, it should have been this or
No. The other reason I think this is going to be a great move is that it says on a 9-, they will retaliate against you when time is up.
That's very good. Okay, so we're gonna go keep them busy. Courage. I will say that now, as you said, this is kind of going on while everybody else was still inside and kind of taking care of that. So, Anne, you're out here, and I just figured out why I'm tripping over that name so hard. So Anne is out here. Uh, um,
Oh, well, question for Anne's player then. Are you facilitating this exodus as well, or are you doing something very different?
because Viren's is trying
No,
to
I
like
mean,
gather up people and do this sort of thing.
that's why I got the cook moved.
So you could also be kind of helping out with this and potentially, be in on this thing.
I guess my question is how many. I know your goal is to save as many people as possible, but we don't want the mob scene that's causing all the problem at the airships. So, are we just trying to help the immediate neighborhood? To do something bigger.
It feels like the immediate neighborhood for right now. I feel that like people will kind of fan out, tell each other what's going on. Hopefully, the effect will spread, but I'm not going to be too ambitious.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. Because then I know what I can. Sorry, let me actually move the mic down to where I'm not like talking in a fishbowl.
I could hear you okay, but you sound better now.
You may have been hearing me from. Anyways, okay, so then I have two things that I want to accomplish. One is I want to get the horses out, but I
Okay.
also want to support getting people together here. I think I can accomplish one with a shout and the other with sort of a more organized kind of thing. So
Okay.
yeah, I was just going to shout to the stable boy to open the. I'm going to make a really loud whistle.
Okay. So, I see. You're calling them. I'm not even going to make you roll for that because I mean, you have, unless you have a specific like call the horses to you kind of thing that you want to engage. I'm good with where that sits. Do you have
No,
such?
I was just going to have that be something that happens.
I'm not making
So.
you. I'm not making you fight to get the horses here because you're the horse person. They love you. They're great, unless there's something that's going to be specifically in their way. And honestly, I'm not even sure a door would do it. They're going to get to you.
So then the other is, what can I do to help kind of move the neighborhood along?
Right. Certainly, being able to help out Viren's with this as he's calling to people and sort of adding a few, some extra encouragement to the people to gather in might certainly help. Viren's the one rolling, but do you guys? Which way does this have to go? Who has to have a bond with who for this to help? Is it?
I'll read you the thing that says when two or more players who have bonds with each other
There you go.
work together side by side.
So
Which we do.
nice. So you have bonds both directions. What that means is simply by the act of saying I'm helping, Margie. You don't. Fellowship
And I
is
don't need to.
Yeah. It's honestly better even than like influence because you have to worry about team in this case because by the virtue of you saying I'm helping and you have bonds with each other, then he gets to roll with hope, which is the sort of rolling with advantage from lots of different games. Originally, 5th edition D&D gave people the idea, so kind of go like that. So yeah, I think we just go. It's a courage roll for Virens with advantage. With hope, rather, I should say.
And I got an 11.
Look at that. Rolls courage and succeeds. So, looking back at the move real quick, I don't think that. I mean, it's keep busy and kind of tuck this away, but on a 7 plus, you buy some time, and their attention is all on you for now. Didn't use any weapons. Why did I think that keep them busy gave you the option to like sort of have the advantage over them, or am I thinking of something else?
That ties into the finish them move. If you look at the bottom of that.
What is advantage?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I just thought there was actually a thing in Keep Them Busy that let you.
There are some custom moves. I've got one with keep them busy. I think.
Okay,
Yes.
I don't know why I thought it was baked into the actual just core move.
I think it's more has to do with how subsequent actions,
Sure, sure,
if
sure.
if it's actually battle, it has a different.
In any case, given that you've called them over, acting as though you have a plan in this otherwise chaotic thing, and gotten 11, we'll say that for the sake of whatever the next thing is that you try to convince them to do, you have advantage or have hope. You have hope. You have the advantage. I should say you have the advantage. You can finish them. No. Honestly,
Like as a player, I'll say that this is the right fictional positioning for someone else to step up
right.
and present that plan.
Yeah.
If Anne doesn't have a solid idea, but somebody else does, for example, this is their time.
Well, it may be it may be a good thing for.
Well, that may tie back to Wynn's cunning idea as to where we should be going.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
When
go.
we step out of the inn.
Page weight. Okay, so people have gathered. Some people have gathered here. They're really kind of waiting. It's like, what are we doing? What are you gonna do? Where? The Wynn has said something about, I might have a way out through the forges. Honestly,
Like if nobody else steps up, like we'll go with that. But
yeah, so there's that. The innkeeper and his wife are still. I'm going to name them Thenardier if I. No, they're not. But the innkeeper and his wife are still kind of muttering, and this is not matching up with what Carabas said earlier. It's definitely not where their son would have run. So there's some grumbling there for sure. As far as that goes. And the end you can Carabas, you actually get the innkeeper's whatever. If you're trying to tell me that my son ran to the forges, cat. No, actually, what she says is, what she calls you is halfling, which is not often intended as a neutral term, and is almost never intended as a compliment. It's an old slight. Nobody is even exactly sure why it's a slight on your people, but it certainly definitely, and the way she's saying it is definitely intended to be impugning your honor. So anyway, that's what she's muttering kind of from behind you.
Harumph.
So Wynn offering up the forges. Basically, I think what I'm going with here is it seems like really kind of a talk sense thing. You can baffle them with bullshit, in which case you're talking sense with grace. You're here's the plan to get out of the city, and here's your part in it. Then you're rolling sense. Anybody can step up into this to explain what the plan is, but you guys can certainly work it out amongst yourselves before you say what you're going with. There's enough of us now that we can take one of the mist barges all the way to, whatever. We're going to pick up a bunch of people out of the nearby neighborhoods and get as many people out of here as we can. Get your families and everyone else, and really go full Pied Piper. It's really all just about what you decide you want to do. I mean, this could turn into an exodus out of the city that looks like all the people trying to head for Helm's Deep. It could be small. It might be big.
Could look like the
I
Exodus.
just try to go.
What was that? What was it? What did Rowan just say?
Does anyone mind if I try to just pull the whole "hey, listen to the wizard" bit?
Go for it.
Good.
yeah,
Alright. So Yeah, once Varens has everybody's attention, Rowan's going to use his wizardry because he can make his voice move on the air
Oh, okay.
so that
Cool.
people can hear him, and he's going to be like, "All right, folks, I know that everybody's worried about the protection coming down, but we have this old protector of this area who knows this place well, and we're gonna follow him, and we're all gonna get out of here safely."
Oh, and you're using that as sort of a I can't remember what the little moves are, but the voice on the wind kind of thing, just so that everyone can hear you clearly despite all
Oh
this
yeah,
craziness.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I like that.
Then and then Joyce,
Mhm.
um, sorry to interrupt. I
No.
should have done this sooner, but we talked about switching out my,
Yes.
I told you so for the I've got a bad feeling about this.
Yes.
I was kind of assuming that well, I don't want to assume. So I've got a bad feeling about this.
Yes.
Yeah, safest way out.
Okay. I need to look at. I mean, let me look at what the move is here while we're.
I'm typing it in right now.
Okay.
Like she literally gets to ask the question of what is the safest way out. You have to ask.
I get to say the safest or the quickest or both.
Okay.
Like I remember this discussion from last time, and if you had planned to take that move, I was like, yeah, Anne is the next person to talk because that's,
Yeah.
she literally can tell us that.
Yep. And everybody else. I mean, certainly. Win has chimed in with the command lore stuff. I gotta get this orc squire. There we go.
I think that we meet the condition of when I'm certain that something is wrong.
Yeah. What's the name of the move?
It's called I've got a bad feeling about this. I'm typing it in right now.
Oh, it's under. Okay, I
As
see.
when you're certain it's something when you're certain something's wrong here, you may ask the overlord to tell you the safest way out and also the quickest way out. They will answer truthfully.
Okay. The quickest way out. The quickest way out is going to be the air barges, and I'm going to attach that thought to the fact that you're seeing one finally lifting off and away from the city. That's the quickest way out, literally, of the whole area, because it'll take you up and out of the lowlands and into the midlands. So that, by definition, makes it the quickest way to get truly away from this place. Um, there are issues because, and I will find, the thing I'm looking for. But suffice it to say that there are certain challenges with regards to um, getting out of here um, safely on the barge. If you're talking locally, boy, safe is really hard right now. It really depends on whether you're talking short term or long term. Um, you're going to want to stay away from uh, large crowds for a number of different reasons. They might be dangerous themselves. They might attract danger because there's stuff already. It's kind of a blood in the water kind of thing with the wards coming down with the surrounding area. It's not like every single thing out there is bloodthirsty, but there are things that are always kind of agitated by the wards, and having the wards suddenly come down um, is not is just, like I said, blood in the water. I gotta find this thing I'm looking for here. Yeah. Okay. So, that's exactly what I was looking for. Perfect. We're going to look at this thing, And so I want you to imagine the lovely, and somebody can probably pull up a picture of the lovely Miss Barge and what it looks like. But I also want you to imagine it with this addition, as shared here in the chat in Roll20. Except those aren't all birds. You're not sure what they are from this distance, but the fact that they're that far away and you can see them would indicate that they're bigger than birds. So, quickest way out? Absolutely. Safest way out? You would not bet clinking money on that in any way, shape, or form. Safest way out? The problem is you don't necessarily know. You can think of arguments for this one way or the other, regardless. Staying away from people is probably going to be good because people are panicky and dangerous in large groups. So who knows what they're going to do. Going to the forges thing might be good, but it's also going to be relying on tunnel integrity when you've got freaking gigantic statues and stuff. In the process of coming down, but yes, probably, although it's definitely not going to be birdsong and roses all the way. That's probably the safer way, although but that way out is getting you out of the city and into the lowlands and having to work your way out through the lowlands. So it's almost the opposite of fastest way. It's probably the slowest way to get out of this whole region. But safer than what you're seeing right now. So yeah, I'm gonna go with those two. I mean that really sums up the pros and cons of you're going to be right in the thick of it outside of the city, but you're going to be clear of most of the chaos. That's just going to be the regular stuff that'll be trying to kill you out in the lowlands. That's just standard life or death stuff.
I will then just declare that safest.
Okay.
And because it's me saying that.
Sure.
See, the human woman says that's the safest way to go. I'm sure that's where your son and daughter went.
You are not helping.
Quit being on my side. Anyway.
Are they outside moving with us? Yes. Am I helping? Yes.
It's a little bit of a Yoda snort there. I really like that. Okay, so I turn back to the wizard, and I think Rowan is probably making a. Was that your leverage for doing talk sense a particular way? Or are you trying to skip talk sense? Because it feels like you're trying to impress, dazzle, or trick them, or at least impress and dazzle. Yes. And I'm down with that, certainly. Ooh, they have a wizard. He can help us. He would know the secret ways. And if not, we can sacrifice him to the gods and say that we've captured one with demon blood. And they will protect us.
I was also trying to leverage the help of Wynn, because I know they
listen to
I
her.
am confident that they know what they're doing. So,
Wynn. Right. Sorry, I got confused between that and Anne. Sorry.
And I also have bonds with Wynn.
And you have bonds with Wynn.
So that is useful for me.
Yes. All right. So Wynn says go this way. The wizard's going to back up that. I like, your argument, of course, is right in there with that. So, go talk sense, do it with grace, do it with your fancy wizardry ways. Bloop.
Hey.
I mean, when you're rolling with hope.
Yeah.
Even when your grace is a 0, the odds be ever in your favor. All right.
Nice.
Talk sense. Dazzler, trick them, roll grace. They do as you ask to the best of ability. Okay, so is this a Pied Piper kind of thing? You guys are just going and having everybody follow along. Viren's forging ahead. Who's where? Who's doing what? Who's walking along the back and kind of smacking the pedestrians along on the butt to keep them moving along, or is that
I'm
happening?
Hat. I'm Hat on a horse, and I'm herding.
Talk to me about the horses. Are we talking like are they more like the sort of Mustang working pony kind of thing?
I mean, it's sort of a mixture. There's like a donkey or two in there that we've used mostly for carrying stuff.
Sure.
The horses are, I would say, on not necessarily pretty but sturdy. So a person who knows horses would recognize that they, they're for endurance and hardiness.
Sort of
If
that
not looks.
sort of that Mongolian steppe pony almost.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And according to my thing here, horses have the attribute of run like the wind. So they're going to be fast when they need to be, but they're they're mostly,
generally speaking, if the environment allows for it, kind of deal. One would imagine. Run like the wind doesn't do much good if you're in like tunnels beneath the sea. So, Win, talk to me. If so, you're bringing up sort of probably the pack, the animals, the horses, and so forth, kind of in the back. The cat's mounted up on a dog. So many questions.
not very smart,
He's delightful. He's loyal. He's fierce. Dense as a post.
Hard.
I mean,
Hardly
the
slobbers.
catlings and dogs, they go together like peanut butter and jelly.
Sure.
His name is Hambone.
I'm mentally putting Virens in the lead. The question I have is where is Win in all this? Are you leading the way ahead to get to an entrance that takes you into the forges? Is this like a below grounds kind of thing, or getting into the guts of it? It's like getting under, getting beneath.
It's yeah, it's not quite beneath as well. Geography.
How does it take? Let me put this a different way. How does it take you out of the main thoroughfares and off the streets that are going to keep like? How does it take you away from the crowds? Does that help? Does that help sort of?
I would say because it's not going towards the gate or going towards the airships.
Yeah, so the forges are towards the back of the city.
Okay.
And so it wouldn't be the place where most people would be going towards.
They're right underneath the giant statue of the South.
I mean,
hey, the construction has held for this long.
So what you're saying is the forges as a way out are sort of like, at least in some way, under the wall.
Yeah,
it's a way out of the city, but it's still getting there is sort of the tricky bit.
Yeah, and it's a forgotten passageway since they aren't using the forges how they used to be.
I see.
It's not too forgotten because the innkeeper's son remembered it.
So much bad karma coming there.
I hope it falls all
and then
on
it starts
Kiribati.
to rain.
Wait.
Then it starts to rain.
Okay.
Oh no, the dangerous mist rains.
No.
And as our horse wrangler knows about heavy rains.
Really?
And how to make gestures from across the room.
Oh my god.
Are you really going to saddle us with these bad puns?
Oh. It's like you're just waiting.
I'm not just waiting, I'm hoping.
Okay.
Too many bad puns can be deadly.
Okay.
Godly.
So, Win, I'm gonna say Win and Variance is sort of towards the front as Wins is trying to like find a route that isn't too chaotic through the what's going, something that's actually navigable to get where you need to go. You're saying it's not the same direction as really either the main gates or the airship? Is that Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Um so this again, it's going to be a long haul. The problem with having an inn that's centrally located is there isn't a good way to get to out quickly, no matter what. Um, the streets are, I mean, no part of the city is quiet at this point. The statues seem to be holding. Um, one of them, the sort of an outstretched, barring arm, has kind of cracked and fallen away, but conveniently, it was out over the forest outside of the city and did not actually fall within, but it led to a whole bunch. You can hear panic screams in the distance, that kind of thing. People are calling hither and thither, cries for
See?
help
Good construction.
for now. Cries for help, that sort of thing. And one particular cry, it catches, the whole place becoming somewhat more difficult to navigate, possibly even for winds, just because of the mist that's creeping into the place. Uh, you guys were talking we were talking while we were doing the world building about like being able to influence the mist, control the mist, kind of keep them away as potentially a harbinger trick, or it was like and also like just a way that the null res, tricks that the null res used to have, that sort of thing. Or am I making that up? Am I misremembering that, or is
No,
that
that was something the harbingers were reputed to be able to do.
pretty okay?
Mhm.
So yeah, and really one of the reasons that heading out into the lowlands is somewhat viable. And well enough, Rowan, that unless you're very unlucky, they don't have like, it isn't like you take one whiff of the of the mist and suddenly go mad and start killing your brethren and stuff like that. But they do have deleterious effects on the mind as time goes on. The innkeeper's wife clutches Carabas clutches at your sleeve and says, "There, did you hear that? There." And um, she kind of shouts loud enough that, and she's near enough you guys, since she was sort of the original, pair that you tried to pull along. Um, Shh, everyone, and I can hear, and you can hear like this, cry out. It's like, help, help. Um, and that's Simon. I'm gonna say it's Simon. That's Simon. You can that's my boy. That's Simon. Um, maybe, sure. Um, definitely someone's voice calling out for help from uh back in sort of like a side street alley kind of situation. Definitely not the direction you're going. Uh, off to the side, that kind of deal. Um, somewhat faint. You're not 100% sure that that's actually Simon. You're maybe less than 50% less than, well, Carabas is less than 10%. Um, I don't even know why he'd be in this area, but that's definitely help, help. Um, Carabas, what do you do?
Well, I would leap to the rescue, but I appear to be weighed down at the moment.
She gives you such a look. She gives you such a look. Um, regardless of who it may or may not be, it is definitely someone uh, calling out for assistance.
Yes, we absolutely need to rescue whoever it is.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not.
I'm being very serious.
Okay. What does that mean for you?
I shall go see who it is, madame, and I will slip out of my backpack.
Well, you can. I have no problem with you having transferred that particular cask to like a saddlebag. I guess
Okay,
a side pack or something like that, so you're
fine.
not entirely weighed down by the car
On the
battery of
donkey, for that
the
matter.
car body of wealth.
Do we?
She just wanted to be sure that she was keeping an eye on it. I understand.
Well, she's near the dog, so she's keeping an eye on it.
Right.
So Carabas is heroically question mark. Um,
Well, I feel a certain obligation because if it is Simon,
Simon.
then
The
You-
I
wizard will
feel
go
some
along.
sort of indirect obligation here.
Okay. All right. Um, so rest of the group waiting, and I say group in the all-encompassing sense because there's a lot of you here, a lot of people here. Hold the progression, keep creeping along, and expect them to catch up.
No. So what? I'm going to recommend that. I'll sing out something to the effect of, because they're going to go slow. Keep going. We'll catch up. I'll get the stragglers to you, including the cat.
You've always got my back, Anne.
So
As a player, I also want to ask: would Anne send a horse along to perhaps carry somebody who is wounded, or
Well, I'm going to be on a horse, so
there you go.
okay.
So
You're going along. So right now I'm seeing Carabas, Anne,
Um.
and Rowan.
Yep.
And Virens and Wynn are continuing to lead the troop.
slow going.
Slow going. No, I understand that. Absolutely understand that. I absolutely understand that. So I just want to make sure I'm clear on what's going on so that everyone's like, no, that's not what was going on.
Just out of curiosity, I
Yes,
mean, how
ma'am.
many people are we shepherding here?
I'm gonna
I mean, is it 30? Is it
north of a dozen, south of 30.
Okay.
I believe. I believe it's called a group in the mechanics of the game. No, but that's just me being silly. Yeah,
so it's not a small army yet.
it's north of a dozen and south of a group. Yeah, they have very
Oh,
specific numbers about the
20-ish.
20-ish. Yeah, call it 20-ish.
Okay.
Okay. We'll look at something here. Do. Rowan, is your brain ready? Is your brain ready to make
Yes.
some stuff up?
I am ready to make some stuff
All right,
up.
I would like you to command lore for me. This may be somebody who needs help. I mean, it's probably not Simon. It's a big city, but it's probably somebody who does need help. Or it could be somebody who. It might also be somebody who does not need help and is simply looking for uh, taking advantage.
Advantage.
Yeah. Whether that is some mugger like trying to make a buck all out of proportion to the current circumstances and completely unable to like.
That is one desperate mugger.
That is one desperate mugger, or it's
I
some
am
sort of like call it. I mean, in at a meta level, some sort of oral will o' the wisp type of creature. Tell me about that.
Candles in the swamp.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
this case though, calling for help kind of a deal. Something that would be native to the forest that had crept in and is trying to separate someone away from the herd. Tell me about that thing.
Ah, yes, it's one of the. I would be on the lookout to make sure it's not one of the mist wisps.
Mist wisps. Okay.
Yeah, who call you towards deep pockets of the mist where they've congregated, so that you might become one of the mist touched.
Okay.
They have a siren song sort of effect, and I'm worried Karabas might be pulled into it.
You know.
I think. Okay.
No, I trust you. You have a way with magic.
Indeed. I'm going to ask you to look closely at the situation and see what you think might be going on there.
So
As you're
when
hearing
we
the weak kind of cries like help, it's getting weaker, like the strength is ebbing away, kind of thing. Occasionally, like a cry of like some larger pain. You're immediately brought to mind of the idea of somebody having had something heavy fall on them, like a beam or something like that, and occasionally they'll try to move and cry out from the pain, and mostly they're just sort of weakly crying out for help. That's the mental image, and you can't decide if your imagination is very good or if it's getting a little help.
Yep, and I will go ahead and look closely at that. Which one of my wizardry spells is to speak, look, or listen as if you were somewhere else you could see.
Ooh.
Nice.
So does that mean you get to? So does that sort of obviate the need for the actual roll itself, or?
That's up to you. If I look from above, like
Ooh.
as we're riding forward slowly on our horses, and I just sort of like say a few words, and I'm now looking from above us.
I didn't know if you had. I got the impression that Carabas at least had dismounted. Had you dismounted or no? Are you still?
Um,
I mean, the
you might
area
be
that this is coming
two
to is.
horses.
Yeah, that's true. Um, it's a
One of
narrower.
us to ride off while grabbing Karabas by the scruff of the neck.
Okay. I think. I think the fact that okay, I'm still going to ask for a roll, but I think what I'm going to say is because of you've got you have the ability to bring your power to bear in this situation. Forewarned is forearmed and all that sort of thing is that you're doing it with hope. You have an advantage here that um, uh, normal mortal men cannot possibly bring to bear, and there's no way that if there is some sort of supernatural creature that could possibly expect that sort of thing. So
Okay.
roll with hope, but roll.
I did well.
You did. You did. Oh, look at that. You did do well. All right. So,
3 questions.
yeah. So that's 3 questions from the list. Anyone can answer, but the Overlord has the final say. So ask away.
What is going on here? What do my senses tell me?
All right. You do see somebody who is, in fact, in pain, injured, um, and so forth. A townsperson who has been hurt in all the chaos and possibly all the shakes and booms and things falling and that sort of thing is just in a doorway that for this older building in this little side alley. It's a kind of alley that's just like ramshackle houses and that sort of thing that get they're they're half staying up because of the more sturdy buildings around them, and the doorways sort of collapse in their under. Or something did that to them because you detect a lurking shadow that is definitely not where any shadow should actually be. So they may be accentuating the cries of the thing or of the person, or adding to them, or adding a certain plaintive wail to them, but there's definitely something else lurking around there. So it's not just somebody calling for help, but somebody taking advantage of it, possibly causing it, wound one animal to draw in more, kind of thing.
Well, I feel like that also answers, is there something hidden or out of place?
Yes.
If so, what looks suspicious?
So that gives you 2 of 3, certainly. And
So what will happen if I alert Karabas so he can get the jump on it? Basically, I'm asking, could I effectively, like, whisper to Karabas so he can get the jump on this thing?
yes.
I'm sure that Carabas has very good hearing.
Especially when I can whisper directly into his ear.
Yeah, if you can whisper to Carabas and inform him exactly, because he's the only one who isn't mounted. Horses coming on cobblestones, certainly, and there's little side alleys, little places here, nooks and crannies, low eaves and that sort of thing to clamber up onto and around. Carabas can get around, and I would say that would give Carabas advantage on this thing on a sort of first attack kind of thing.
That sounds like
that would
good plan.
That would allow you to jump straight to finish them.
That sounds like a good plan. Also, in Keep Them Busy in the book, not in the shade, it says while you keep them busy, you create an advantage for your allies.
That's what I thought. It doesn't say it in the little reference sheet though, does it?
Nope.
Yeah. I wonder if that is maybe the reference sheet is the older rules and they made that more clear. Possibly.
It looked. This is how the old sheet looked, but I think it might have had more to do with maybe line spacing, because you may notice that column is more tightly packed.
Yeah.
Any of the other ones on like the next page.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty big one. That's a pretty big aspect, especially since the whole advantage thing is flagged as a.
There's a funny thing towards the end of the book. It's like, I didn't talk a lot about advantage in the first edition because really it only comes up when you're doing one move in the entire book. So it's not that important. I didn't figure it was going to be matter. Here's the problem. In play, it's super important. It's one of the most commonly used moves, and it only comes up if you know whether or not somebody has advantage. And I didn't talk about it. So let me fix that now. So hindsight's a wonderful thing. All right. So Carabas, you can...
Carabas, there's something hiding over there in that eaves. Rangalarina and I can keep riding, but you're on foot, so.
Okay.
Something hiding, you say?
So I'm not going to give you. So there's actually sort of 2 rolls coming here because I want you to get away, get the drop on them. You've been informed. That'll give you the keep them busy thing, but to get around them, get around where you can make that shot. I think what you need to do is do a getaway, which is grace. You get there quickly, avoiding any harm along the way, kind of thing. You get there quietly, that sort of stuff. These options. That one you can roll with. Wait, do you have a bond? Do you have a bond with Rowan?
Yes, I once told Rowan lies so good he still thinks it's true, but
we don't have a bond both ways.
But we don't have a bond both ways.
Yeah.
That's part of why I wanted to come here.
If I'm not being looked at, I've got some things.
Ooh.
But Anne and I do. But Anne and the kitty do.
I see. Okay. Tell me what you were going to say though, Dave. I want to hear about this.
I was going to say I've got, for example, if I want to do something clever, or sneaky while no one is looking, like slip under cover to get around towards wherever this thing is. If you're saying I need to do that, I've got the little folk core moves, and as long as they're not looking at me.
No. What's the? Tell me what that is.
The little folk. When you do something clever, it's a core move for the halflings. If you do something clever or sneaky while no one is looking, roll plus courage. On a 7+, I do it and no one notices right away. On a 9-, everyone knows I did it as soon as they notice what I did.
My brain kind of broke on that last sentence, but I think I get where you're going. It's kind of up to you. You can do the getaway thing, or you can do the courage thing, whichever one suits you best.
Well, I'm better. I'm better with courage. Well, I'm equally good with grace. So I'm gonna choose one, so I can quickly or quietly. I'll try the getaway
All right,
because
because we haven't done that yet.
now, so is Anne able to then
I,
help me through her bonds with me?
I believe so, just because again, horses,
I
the
mean, I
noise.
can,
The thing is,
You
or
you you can make an extra noise to draw.
I can even like make the horse pretend to trip a little bit
yeah,
to
but
make us look less.
certainly horses on cobblestones much noisier and more attention grabbing than a catling padding away across some slate rooftops and that sort of thing. So, or slipping down alleyways and the like. So, yeah, roll with hope.
Okay,
Give you
so that was
give you reasons
that
to roll
was
with hope here.
Hey,
that was a
horses, win
grace
you a bit.
with hope.
Jeez Louise. Get it out of your system
So
now with the hope thing, because we get some
so
despair there.
12.
A 12, lovely, a lovely 12.
So I get to choose two.
Yep.
Um,
Probably.
and go ahead.
Well,
You were
they get there quickly and quietly. Um,
quickly, quietly, drawing no attention, avoiding any harm. That sounds like a good thing.
that's a lovely combo for what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
For what you're trying to do. And again, the keep them busy thing, or not keep them busy, the finish them. The fact that it's available at all has kind of been laid open to you, and you've crept around to the thing. So this thing, well, actually, you know what? Tell me what it looks like. Actually, no. Tell me what Catling boogeyman it looks like.
Ooh. Um,
Because it's certainly it has elements of shadow in it, lurkiness, mimicry. But aside from that, what do you see as you creep up on this thing, quick and quiet?
um. Well, my first thought is that I see I see this legendary creature, this boogeyman, as you put it, who the red eye that lurks in the shadows. And if it catches your attention, it moves around and draws your attention with it, and you keep creeping closer and closer to try to get to it until you fall into its clutches.
Is it because you've gotten too close to it, or because there's another one?
It's because you've gotten too close,
And you didn't realize it.
and you didn't realize it.
And knowing that, you know that you don't want to create. There's this sort of almost an automatic effect of this thing where you want to get in just a little bit closer, and you're like, no. My sword is plenty long and sharp to reach from here. Um, or is it a sword? What do you do as you strike at this thing?
I'm sorry. Do we consider that I have advantage here, or am I just trying to keep it busy?
You are able to finish them. You can actually hurt this thing because of what Rowan was able to tell you.
Got it.
You have the advantage that lets you actually roll finish them. You're trying to kill them. You're trying to force them to retreat. That sort of thing. I mean, can you kill them? Do you think you can kill them?
Against an opponent of this sort, I think I want to leap down upon them unawares and terrify the hell out of them.
Okay. All
which
right.
would be doing it with grace.
Doing with grace on attempt they admit defeat. So is this just bare claws and snarling, or the
Oh no,
flashing blades and all that kind of good stuff
I'll
too?
do it. I'll do it with flashing blades.
Oh no, we're
It
definitely
it it
flashing
it
blades.
it,
Yeah.
it thinks that it can capture me, draw me into its clutches.
Okay. In this case, you're not rolling with hope, but the fact that you're rolling really with finish them at all is, you know, pretty good start.
Oh,
So let's have it. Let's have our
okie
grace roll.
dokie. And with neither.
Still a
10.
10. My
It's
goodness.
still a 10. Ha ha ha.
Lovely.
Ha ha! And I, land in front of it with blades slashing and flashing faster than it can follow.
Outsmarting,
And
terrifying, overwhelming. On 10, they admit defeat and will not willingly challenge you again. All right. So, this thing, it, honestly, weirdly, it's almost a cat-like yowl. That kind of thing as it snarls and leaps back away from the blades. You don't really feel. It's not that sense of hitting a proper target with the blade, but it's definitely, it feels like? It feels like swinging and hitting water, which is a hell of a lot better than swinging and hitting air. You're hitting something. There's resistance there, but it's not the kind of resistance you would expect from a proper body. But it is satisfying in its own right. And the thing leaps back, and it kind of crouches, its arms going out. It's actually, it's almost weird to see it in the, out away from a wall where it's not more easily
right.
mistaken as a shadow kind of a thing. And it almost makes a move as though to come, but it's your blades are still there, and your blades are bright and shining. And despite the dust trickling down and the rumbles from across the city and the screams and the horse clops and so forth coming closer and actually speeding up a bit, just, it's still a walk because you're in narrow, but they're coming closer, and the eyes kind of track that direction. And there's no brave words. There's no idle threats or anything like that. The thing withdraws and then leaps back into a side street and away. And you can feel it go. You can feel the sort of threat electricity that makes your hackles rise up, sort of fading as the thing moves away. And you guys are approaching. The guy looks like he's got his leg is sort of under some cobblestones that had fallen down from sort of the top piece of the, not cobblestones, the stones above the lintel that is sort of like tumbled and fallen when the thing cracked. So he's taken a couple of good shots of rocks. More, it should have been enough for him to still leap, but he's got a pretty nasty kind of claw mark up on his shoulder. That seems to be more of what's made him pale and shaky and unable to really pull himself loose. But with your help, you guys can get him, if not on his feet, then at least up on his feet with help and onto a horseback and stuff, so you guys can get back out of here. Cool.
Cool.
All right. Meanwhile, go ahead, Margie.
So is it the missing son?
It is not. It is not the missing son. Carabas can't be so very lucky as to for it to be.
I don't know if that would have been lucky, but it required more fast talking. But it's a shame. I hope he got out okay.
I hope we don't have to run back into the city before we leave.
Why would we have to? Oh.
The price,
It is the price. It is the guilt. We'll have to see, because I mean, there's somebody was about to say something.
I think you mean I hope Carabas doesn't have to run back into the city.
Caribus is paying a different price. The price for the price leveled about with regards to getting the sun out was actually Rowan's, not Caribus's. So that's weighing on his. It's sort of resting on his shoulders at the moment, karmically speaking. Okay. Okay. Virens and Win. Are you guys? Well, I sort of had you. Viren's sort of leading the way, and Win's kind of scouting a bit. So Win's, I'm going to ask you. And Win's and Virens, do you guys have a bond? Do you have mutual bonds?
We do.
We do. Ah, perfect. Lovely. What is Virens? Or sorry, Win's. What's your bond with Virens? Out of curiosity. What is the nature of your relationship or your bond?
I cannot let Virens fail in their quest.
I see. Okay. And Virens, what's your thing with Wins?
Win is my party buddy.
Your part? How do you intend that?
As in the adventuring party.
Ah, the adventuring party.
Oh.
Okay. Is that?
I don't expect Win to get down in disco.
I was just curious.
I was waiting for that.
Is that because of his sort of like historical or known role as a protector? Sort of, is there a mutual understanding there, or some sense of?
I'm gonna say yes. The Toscan Empire isn't like an ancient sort of millennia old thing. It's relatively recent as the history of the world goes. But I think Virens recognizes that Win is a member of that old order and was kind of doing their job before the orcs ever came along. So he's respecting their sort of history and role and the fact that they just stood on duty for this long.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Stand on the wall kind of thing. Literally in this sense, in this case. Okay. When you're getting fairly close to what you would think of as sort of the entry to the forges area, I picture this in some ways like sort of like an old fortressy kind of bailey kind of thing that very few people are allowed in and out of, where it's forges within, but really kind of a big block of, I mean, really kind of an ugly sort of block, a brutalist kind of block of stone in this part of the city. It doesn't really look like very much of the rest of the city, except for maybe the walls. It doesn't really have the same sort of artistry, or really even necessarily speaking craftsmanship of the statues, or in some cases the walls. Some of the more ancient story. It's very utilitarian, very brutalist. I think is probably honestly the best word for it. People have lots of reasons for this.
Is it one of the places that was actually one of the earliest parts of the city, since the forging is so important to its construction?
It's the reason. It's honestly the reason, the justification for all of the work that went into protecting the place, the city, because the forges themselves are. The fact that the forges are here made it worthwhile to defend the place, have a population, make the travel routes, that kind of thing, because of the forges here. So it's definitely one of the oldest places. People have lots of reasons for have lots of reasons for why the building is this blocky, tomb-like. There's all kinds of comparisons. It's a tomb. It's meant to contain the spirits of the dead. It's it's the pure rock of the bones of the world cropped up out of the thing.
Well, we know how well containing the spirits of the dead works.
Yeah. It's there's to put 12 people in the room, they've got 13 different theories as to um, why the building is so you
Ugly.
know just cyclopean, just this great slab of a place. Um, do you want to speak? I have a theory as to why this is, but do you want to speak to why it's built the way that it is?
Yeah, well, it had originally been the from the Jarlopes,
Oh,
the Red Miners, and they had kind of built it up, and uh, we shared the city together until the Jarlopes had some internal difficulties, at which point we took it over completely.
are those people? Are they still around somewhere?
They no,
Or at least you don't
the
think so?
Dave, you're miking.
I couldn't hear him. No, I don't think so. After their internal struggles, we lost contact with them.
That's not the same thing as they're not around, but I'll take that for what it's worth. Interesting. All right, so you're scouting ahead here, and you're coming up. You're at least ahead somewhat. Most of the people will stay clear of you. I mean, what few people you're seeing in the street, and again, anybody who's clearing out of this area, trying to get towards the more obvious exits from the city or get to someplace that they consider safe. So they're either holding up or they've moved. You don't see a ton of people. You get a bit of that sort of sense of, you know, something might be amiss kind of deal as you're getting within sight where you can see sort of the front entrances and so forth of the forges. And I'm going to ask you to look closely to examine the situation or location. This drink is 3,000.
Okay, sense.
Yep, cents. All right, bloop bloop. Ooh, interesting.
I'm too distracted because everything is not how it once was. So everything seems amiss to me.
Yeah. Well, and there's the way the place has been built up around. Although it's interesting, there's still like a fairly significant courtyard around the area that the open space that really hasn't been. I mean, space in such a constrained city where going outside is just not what's done, and just no one's going to go outside and just build themselves a simple little cottage outside the city walls. Okay. Um, the fact that there's a big open courtyard out here that nobody's really doing anything with is remarkable and also completely makes sense at the same time. Still, on the 6 minus, you may still ask one question. So we have a list here. What's going on here? What am I? There's a couple here. So you're not completely without input. You're not completely without information. You're just not going to get a ton of it. So, what seems like the most useful bit of info to go for?
Um, is there? Oh, you kind of answered that with the courtyard.
Well, yeah, that's not. Yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing. Well, yeah, the courtyard is just a big open space in front of the forges. So that's not. You know, that gives you a bit of the Wiggins just in terms of, you know, you don't want to walk out into the clearing in a forest if you're a prey animal. You know, that you want to take your stock of the situation. But that's any one of those questions there can you know, yield something.
Um,
Probably one of the first two would probably be the
that's
most.
yeah. What's going on here? What do my senses tell me?
Okay. Okay. Um. So Virens, you see when kind of he's not all crouched or anything like that, but he's kind of like tucked into the lee of a building in the shadow and looking out at this, you know, courtyard. You're probably about a block away. The courtyard, you see the building beyond that. Um, you know, big monolith of a place, and you kind of wave everybody to just hold tight as you kind of move up to join him as he's uh, uh, they uh, are kind of watching there, and you don't even so much ask the question as just look the question. Um, when am I accurate in saying that your species does not have eyes as such? Is that accurate? You see,
Yeah,
but it's not in the typical sensory thing. Well,
yeah.
your whole situation is totally different anyway. Um, so Win indicates at the main entrance, which is a good sized like roll a battle wagon out of it kind of double door sort of situation. Um, there are not way out in the open or anything like that, but there are at the entrance of those double doors two guys tensely standing sentry. Um, not unusual. The forge is a place for making wondrous things or powerful things or useful things or valuable things. So the fact that it needs a guard is hardly surprising. Certainly not in this place, this uncivilized place. What Win Whispers points out is uh, the clothes that they're wearing have blood on them, and it's not their blood.
Well, I still got one hand on my foe-smelling knife. What's that doing?
That is, I mean, if they're so let's assume they're foes and they're across a like call it 30 yards of courtyard. How warm is it at that point in time? Because they're definitely foes. Whether or not they're truly dangerous foes,
All it says is the weapon burns to the touch when in the presence of those who mean you harm. To you,
uh,
this heat is only a warning, but it will harm others who try to touch it.
I see. I see. Um, it's I would say it's warmish. You've learned to gauge this thing over time. They're a threat. They don't specifically. You've felt what this feels like when it's somebody who's coming straight at you, who knows you and wishes you personal and extensive ill. And that ain't this. These guys are just generally looking for anybody coming their direction and they want to do them harm. They are a threat, certainly. They're not a personalized threat with your name on it. You can also, I think it would still be look closely to get a general idea, like sort of take a look and see if you can figure out possibly what might be going on here. Um, the doors are slightly ajar, uh, which is odd. Um, Based on Wynn's thing, you know, their clothes have blood on them that is not there, so they've had violence. They've done violence to people. They're not themselves injured. Um,
Yeah, I'll look closely. And with mutual bonds with Wynn, who's right here, who's pointing this out,
Yeah.
I should be able to roll with hope.
I think you should absolutely roll with hope. See what you
You're going to start hating those words, I think. By next session, you're going to be like, no, there is no hope.
Well,
for me.
I think I can. I think they wash each other out if I can injure you guys. So that's really the kind of gotta. And occasionally, it's an 8, so I can take an 8. All right. So look closely on a sure no. So on a 7+, ask 3 questions from the list. Anyone can answer, but the overlord's final say great. On a 9-, you find one of the answers out the hard way. All right. So hit me. What you got?
Okay, so 3 questions.
Uh-huh.
What were they doing, and what are they going to do next?
What am I looking at? What are you looking at? Oh, what are the?
Oh,
what
I'm
are,
sorry. Wrong question. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Is something going? Is something hidden or out of place? If so, what looks suspicious?
Okay. Something out of place. You're looking at them with. I mean, he's got his own set of senses, and certainly they're useful. These guys are dressed like city guards, but if they're city guards, you'll eat Carabas's hat. The uniforms
That too.
the uniforms don't fit, and it's not in a body sense. They just don't fit these people. They aren't guards. Even the skeezy guards, they're not guards. These are guys who are whatever they are. They ain't guards.
They're wearing the bloody clothes of the guards that they took.
Yeah, I mean, something hidden out of place. What looks suspicious? What looks suspicious is these guys are dressed as guards. They are acting as guards. They ain't guards.
Okay. A possible answer for this question generally might also be like there are other people waiting in ambush. If I didn't get that, then that's actually kind of good for me.
I
Um,
mean, something here will be, something that you learn the hard way, but we'll get to that.
yeah, no, that's fair. I'm just thinking through this move because I'm new to it.
Yes, absolutely.
What will happen if I challenge them to identify themselves before these townsfolk?
Assuming that you're acting on your own, they're likely to think they have the advantage. They're bullies. They're violent. They're likely to take that on. They may shout for help. Odds are good that if they are looters, they've got backup within the forges that they could holler for. So I'm going to say that what will happen if I challenge them, sort of out in the open kind of thing, is that they're gonna shout some sort of alarm and bring others as they engage, kind of thing.
Okay. Last question. Tell me about the crowd that's with us. What are they doing, and what will they do next? Like as we're trying to escort these people out of this town, how are they going to confront the presence of looters or violent threats?
I mean, because I haven't taken advantage of it at this point in time, really, I need to find this one. I feel like we need to find this one out the hard way, just because I haven't used it yet, unless anybody has any like really good ideas. I mean, I can also go with Bill's thing where these guys are standing guard, and there were also some we find out the hard way that they have a few spotters up in the buildings around here. So uh, uh, so okay, playing this out in my head because again, first time we use this, first or second time we've used this and looked at these things, and finding things out the hard way is definitely the first time. So what's amiss is they're looters. They're use the guards. They're standing guard for other people in the forges, looting what they can get away with. And they've got spies up in the building. We find that out the hard way.
Sounds good.
I challenge.
I'm
just saying. I'm playing my way through this. What happens if I challenge them? They call for help, but there's also somebody watching, and I have to deal with sort of missile fire. I find things out the hard way. What's the crowd likely to do? They're going to be angry about this, and before you get a chance to really like pick one way or the other, a couple of them shout and they start sort of like angry mobbing their way across the thing. shouting imprecations and threats and that sort of thing. He's like, we're not going to stand for this kind of thing. And they angry crowd howling for blood because they're just tense and they see these guys and they're like a lightning rod for their anger. This is not me providing answers. This is me looking at this thing, the move itself. So I apologize for that. Having done that, what sounds the most enjoyable? Because I can have fun with all of those.
If I've still got spotlight right now, I'll
Yes.
tell you what I'm going to do.
Yes.
Varens will stride forward along with Wynn and challenge these guys directly and say, now is not the time to think of yourselves. Now's the time. These people are in danger now. Join us or get out of the way.
Ooh. Ah.
I like. Didn't answer the question of what's going to be finding out the heart. But,
I think
gives you some avenues to take.
Yes. Yes, it does. All right, hang on a sec. I'm looking. I think. All right, I'm going to go with finding things out the hard way because we have a roll here that we haven't used yet, and I'm going to kind of go this way. So you and this is me kind of getting a picture of what your guys' relationship is like. Do you stride forward knowing that Wins is going to be with you, or do you say? Do you check in for a second and say, "Are you with me?" as you make a motion towards the courtyard, or?
I think he's going to kind of assume that Wynn has got his back.
Okay. So, and Wynn, I think probably does because Wynn's bond is, I'm going to make sure that he achieves his quest.
I actually want to ask James about that. Is part of that to see whether the Toskans are worthy successors as protectors of people?
I like that.
It was more you and the Tuscan Empire being kind of the best chance for defeating Ursula, and I don't want what happened to my people to happen to another, and maybe if Ursula is defeated, I can finally move on.
Peace, something.
Have peace. So I was seeing you as the best chance for that.
So it sounds like kind of, yeah. Okay.
It sounds like kind of, yeah. All right. So if he's striding out to the courtyard, are you with him?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I've scared off looters before.
So Virens goes out there and love this. I love how it's presented. This is not the time. This is not the place. This is the time you stand with your people. Join us or get out of the way. And this is where we find out the hard way that they're not the only ones out here. And that very distinctive sort of clank snap of a couple of crossbows firing.
I've actually got some gear for this, by the way.
You do? Tell me more.
Keep the crossbows firing, but I'll just mention one of the options that I have for gear is scary as hell. Use this to talk sense, whether they want to listen or not. And I roll with blood.
And you roll with blood. Okay.
So like if crossbows fire, I would almost like to suggest that I just take the hit and just stand there anyway.
I mean, I am fine with that. Do you have armor?
Yeah.
Okay, what does the armor do? I'm just wondering if you can legitimately take the hit.
I can spend one use of tough as nails, which qualifies as armor.
Ah, right. Okay. Um, damn. When do you functionally have armor? I feel like you do, and I
Um,
remind me.
I am naturally hard to wound. Yes.
So that functions as like one use of.
Wait. Uh, sorry. There's like different things. Mundane weapons and arrows can't harm me. They
Okay,
can only slow me down.
I see. Okay. Um.
So,
um.
good luck with that to these guys.
I mean, I love it a little bit. Um. So
Just stay away from the birds.
if I understand things correctly, the tough as nails thing means you just get to disregard the damage.
Right.
So you don't have to pick a stat to be damaged. You have used up your tough as nails thing. So the snap, this very clank snap of the crossbows. There's probably three. One goes awry, or at least doesn't come close enough to be. It kind of sparks off the cobblestones in front of you. It's not proper armor. Okay, where does it hit you? It's not going to be like an organ hit kind of thing. It's what you think of as sort of a flesh wound that an in and out kind of a thing that you can grab and pull loose. But where's it hit?
I'm going to say it goes through the shoulder, missing an artery, and comes out the other side.
Sort of the meat of it. And it goes through, mostly spent and kind of clattering on the cobblestones. The shot at Wen is solid, right in the body mass. Well, air quotes body mass. And so what's your reaction to that? Like angry hiss, growl, dismissive snort? Like
I have found over the years that a lack of reaction
is really the most disconcerting thing.
Yeah, it will unnerve the people attacking more.
Wow. Okay.
It'll also make them doubt whether they actually hit you or not. So they may try hitting you again before moving on to something else.
I like that. Okay, tell me about this. The other move that you've got there, the gear that you would frame this up for us before you roll, Bill.
Scary as hell. Use
Yes.
this to talk sense, whether they want to listen or not, and you roll with blood instead of another stat.
I like it. I like that a lot. I was going to have you overcome the damage, but you have a better way of, overcome the threat, but you have a better way of doing it in this case, a dismissive way of doing it. All right, so let's have that blood roll and see where we're. Well, I want to take a look at your sheet here real quick.
And I think we're still rolling with hope because Win is right
Oh,
here.
yeah. I mean, even if you weren't rolling with hope, I would practically give it to you just for the incredible demoralizing effect of like, I'm going to disregard your crossbow. That's,
It was still a 9, so there you go.
It's still a 9. Yeah. Oh, I see what's going on there. All right, so you're rolling with blood, get a 9. That's still so we're doing talk sense. So looking at that real quick, man, I mean, does it say? Well, I guess it does not really matter. So a 9, you owe them a favor. The more you ask them, the more you ask. Okay. So, and there's lots of angry. There's a couple of astonished gasps from the crowd behind you that are still kind of at the opening to the street. But it's also that sound of an emboldened mob. It's like, well, these guys can't be hurt. It's like we're with them. We're gonna kick their ass. So there's definitely that angry mob thing that we're talking about earlier as potential thing. The guys at the gate look at each other and say, okay, listen, if we get out of the way and we go, you let us go, right? We just get to go. They don't get to have us. not going to eat us or anything. We just get to go, right? Okay? Deal?
You'll get to go and face the mists on your own. So yes.
I mean, faced with these guys might be a cowardly and superstitious lot, but I mean, when it comes to angry mob beating you to death versus the potential risk of misty things,
I'm just trying to sweeten the deal a little bit for like, hey, why don't you join up with us instead of like going your own way? But
because your
the
actual
choice is ultimately theirs.
okay, all right. Listen, you make a good point, but I mean, are they really going to stand for us? I mean, can you keep us from? Are we going to be any safer with these guys as we would be with the Mist? I mean, can you promise we're going to be okay if we? It's a hard word for him to say. If we behave, his hands are kind of out, like in that like Han Solo, like whoa kind of air padding gesture here.
I have the perfect response to that. I'm sorry for eating all the spotlight here, but
No,
Virens will take this arrow. Like I said, it goes through, not like goes all the way through, but like he's probably going to pull it out of his shoulder.
mm-hmm.
He's got there's the one that Win intercepted,
Yeah,
and there's probably like a third one that just missed or something like.
yeah.
Virens is going to grab these three, hold them together in a bundle, and raise his fist high, and basically say, "We stand stronger together." Not to them, but to the crowd.
Nobody's willing to meet your nobody is willing to meet your gaze in defiance at any rate. The innkeeper kind of nods to himself. uh, the innkeeper's wife is giving you a not entirely friendly look because this is all very good and well and good, but where the hell is my son? Kind of thing, which isn't on you again. But and you guys Rowan and Carabas and Anne come up like up to the rear of this little thing just as this last thing is kind of happening. So you see Viren's out there in the square. Looks like there's a couple of strangers up at the forge entrance. You guys have the wounded guy. Whose horse is he on and who's walking?
I'll walk.
He's on mine. Okay.
Okay. So Rowan walking, the other guy's kind of up on the horse. The people are like grudgingly nodding and that sort of thing. And so these guys kind of step out away from the thing and pulling up. They're not. I don't know that they're probably not normally gainfully employed. Let's put it that way. But might be useful. But they're pulling off the tunics. They didn't want us in there. Or they told us just to watch. It's there's like it's just it's just Carmelo's group, and they're just trying to find anything they can walk out with and get out of here and that kind of thing. They're I mean, some of them are dangerous in a fight or anything like that, but with this many of you, I think they'll probably leave you alone. I don't know. That's about all we know. We're the newest one, so we didn't get to go in. So that's what they can tell you. And so yes, crowd, courtyard, now coming closer to 30 people. Everyone back together, kind of comparing notes, ready to go in. So was somebody who needed help? Yeah, there was also kind of a missed. What'd you call it? A missed what?
Missed wisp.
Wisp.
Missed wisp. Missed wisp. Anyway. Right, and that's where we are. I guess what's next? What do we do? Actually, looking at the clock and remembering that we ran a bit long last time, I want to make sure that we wrap up in good order. So, do we want to continue forward, or we want to stop right here at the forge and diving into the forge and getting in and out of that place for next time?
Delving into the forge seems like a good place to start.
Okay. Is everyone cool with that?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm deferring to everyone not in the Pacific time zone. So
Yeah, I suppose it's early for you. Yeah. And so, I get up early, but I can't do anything about that, whether I want to or not. Just wake up. I want to look at the.
But you're not as bad as my mom.
Oh, she's okay. I believe you.
30.
I'm up at.
Her
I think
30.
I think the worst thing is waking up at 10 before my alarm goes off.
That's
Yeah.
everybody's worst, whatever time that is.
And I do it all the time. It's like 5:50, and I'm like, son of a.
That sounds
Okay.
like a great thing.
I mean, it's great. It's not my alarm is just my watch buzzing on my wrist, but
I mean, the alternative is mine, where it's like, wake up 30 minutes after your alarm went off.
Oh.
Yeah, that's also not ideal.
It's nigh constantly.
So have we
um,
tried multiple alarms?
I have 3.
I'm looking at the end of session, and at the end of the session or the beginning of the next, if you forgot about it, I like that. It's pretty funny. The fellowship answers these 3 questions: Did we save or protect a community in need? I'm definitely going to say protect. I don't know about save. Save not yet, but certainly the
We're
protection.
working on it.
The protection has continued. I'm not gonna, I don't. Did we strike a blow against the Overlord and their minions? No.
Yeah.
Did we learn more about the world and its peoples? So
Yes.
yes. I feel like that's intended consequences. For each yes answer, the group chooses one of the following options. You may choose an option more than once. Each player refreshes one piece of gear to its full value. Each player chooses one stat to heal. We didn't have any damage stats because your GM is terrible. The Fellowship and the Overlord each choose one player to level up. Cannot be chosen to level up if you are the highest level player or if you've already been chosen to level up. If you have at least 2 players are tied for highest level, anyone can level up. No one actually levels up until all choices on who levels up have been made. Wait, I don't understand that last part. Nobody actually levels up until all choices on who levels up have been made. So you choose people, and then once everybody's eventually been chosen, then everybody levels up at
If we
once.
say we're going to level up twice, like both of our options are to level up,
I see.
then nobody has leveled up until all 4 people have leveled up.
5.
In other words, to calculate what who's
the
highest,
highest.
etc.
I'm still looking at that weirdly sideways, but
Basically, it's not we choose an option and then we choose another option. We're choosing all of the options concurrently.
I see. Sure. Okay. Okay. So I mean, I have full disclosure. I have no sense of the pacing of the game at this point, or what a level up means. So if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and whatever. So, because I don't even know what any of that looks like. So, what do you guys think?
it's the usual stuff of like +1 to a stat, another move.
Sure. Each player refreshes one piece of. Oh, I see. So if you tap
Like
out
the armor that you used.
Sure. If there's multiple things on a particular, you don't refresh all your stuff. You need to take that multiple times to refresh stuff off of your sheet.
Right, but if
I got you.
You had armor 2 and you have used both uses of armor, you're refreshing it back all the way to 2.
Right. Yes, that
But
makes
if you've
sense.
only spent 1,
But if you've like used up ammo and used up armor, that's 2 different things you need to refresh.
correct.
Right.
Gotcha. I'm
And
getting
and those things will separately come back when we get to a town that we can rest in. But
Sure.
mid-adventure, it makes sense to potentially do that.
Yeah. I think the only person who needs to refresh something is Viren's, but certainly if a guy needed armor, I think it's probably him. All right, so I think we have 2 yeses. What do you guys want to do? because we learned more about the world and its people, and we
Let's.
protected a community.
I say let's level up and we'll figure
I
out
think
the
so, leveling
pacing
up
of
would
this
be good.
game.
All right. So the Fellowship and the Overlord each choose one player to level. What?
Yes. So you choose a player who is probably going to be yourself.
Yes, because why not?
Yeah. And then we'll choose one of our party to level up.
Okay.
And then on the next go around, you will choose one of us who hasn't leveled up because we're the only options. And then we
Okay.
will also choose one of us.
And once everybody's been chosen, then everybody levels up?
Yes.
I'm a
Once
little.
everybody's been chosen, everyone who has been chosen levels up.
Once all the choices have been made,
Yes.
then everybody who's leveling up levels up simultaneously.
I see. So once I get it. Gotcha.
Basically, if we level up twice, the Overlord doesn't get to say, well, I'm leveling up, and then I'm tied for the highest level, so I will level up again.
Sure. Sure.
It's like we're putting tokens into a pool and saying, okay, these people can take, level up tokens out, but you can't level up more than once per session.
So for the sake of argument, we do a level up thing right now, and I pick myself because of course I do, and you guys collectively pick Anne, whatever. Those are just checks in a box. At this point, leveling does not actually occur until we also. I don't know if this is true. As this whole sentence will end with a question mark. That leveling up does not actually occur until there's then also a checkbox next to Carabas and Virens and Win and
No.
Rowan.
No.
No.
No?
If it's no, if we are doing a single yes vote going to a level up, then after you've chosen one and we've chosen one, then those two go up one. If we were doing using two yeses for level ups, then
I choose twice and you guys choose twice.
essentially yes.
Right, but you can't choose yourself twice.
You can't
Right.
choose the same people.
It has to be it have to be unique people who are being chosen.
Gotcha.
So in effect, if we do two, if we're doing both of our yeses towards leveling ups, then you've got two choices and we've got two choices.
And one of mine is going to
And
end up being one of you
once
guys.
we've made those, then those four choices will level up
Correct.
for next game.
Right. It's okay. Some part in there eventually gets clunky because you've got a situation down the road where there's one person that isn't picked yet. Four people.
Eventually, they will have to be picked.
You can't pick
No,
the
no, no.
highest.
No, exactly. But I'm saying, okay, so let's say next. Let's say
There
next.
will never be a party with a level 3 character and a level 1 character in the same party.
No, absolutely. But it's a little wonky because maybe it isn't, but say
I
next.
think I get what you're saying.
You know,
'cause
next
someone
time
will
there.
have to level up
Yeah.
when maybe they didn't do something.
Well, no. That's not what I'm saying. It's the okay. Let's say for the sake of argument that next session we pick a level up, but we've done two this time, and there's only one person left to pick, but we have to pick two different people. So at some point in there, you're picking and going, I'm okay. We've already picked the lowest person, so now the second pick is.
But that goes when then they're tied for the highest, because there's a phrase in there about if there's two people that are the highest, then blah blah blah.
Blah, blah. If you have two players who are tied for the highest level, anyone can. I see. All right, gotcha. No, that's right. That
You are
is.
the highest level player.
Yep.
Can't be picked.
Gotcha. All right. So you guys want to use both of them on that, or you want to use one of them to reset stuff, or what do you want to do? Reset gear.
Yeah, sure.
I think we should. I think we should do levels.
I feel like only one person is going to get anything from the gear reset, which is me.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
I would rather not waste that advance.
Okay, sounds good. All right. In that case, so my first one will be to pick myself because why wouldn't I? Who do you guys?
You're evil.
Who do you guys want to pick?
I
For the
think
first one.
Urans was the obvious choice.
He's bleeding.
Who?
Seems fair. Virens.
Okay, I can barely hear Dave.
Yeah. It was weird.
Because my mic boom was
Way
flipped
up.
up.
Yeah.
He pulled a Margie.
What?
Yes. So,
Okay. So
I vote for Virens. He's the obvious.
Oh yeah.
yes. Okay. So Virens and the Overlord, and then the Overlord on the second pass will pick. Carabas, because I don't want the Harbinger to level up.
What?
Just
Really?
putting that off as far as I can, as long as I can. I mean, I'm the Overlord. I'm not supposed to like the Harbinger. Well, I don't like any of you, but I mean, the Harbinger's the threat, right? The real
I
threat.
think that means that we're supposed to pick the Harbinger then,
I
right?
have no idea. I have no idea. I'm going for Carabas because I like the flashing swords against the shadow thing.
That was very nice.
Yeah. It had, dare I say it, a bit of a Grey Mouser feel to it.
Nice.
Fun fact: we had a Lankmar game that we ran when I was in high school. Well, we did some stuff set in a Lankmar. I had this Lankmar source book, and I kept referring. There was a scenario where you could run into Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, and it was also a scenario where you got shrunk down. There was a shrinking potion that you used, and my girlfriend at the time, who did not play but was frequently around and listening, confessed several months later that she thought during that campaign that we were actually playing mice or cats based on the names of the people. She had just, that mentally was how she was picturing all the activity. Anyway, so I picked Carabas. What say y'all, the rest of y'all? Somebody's gonna be left out. Somebody's gonna be left out in the cold this time.
I would actually like to suggest Anne because she stepped up, and I want to see more moves from the Squire and see what she can do with her own young people.
I'm good with that. She certainly helped me.
You want more practicality?
Yeah, I want to see where this goes.
And poor Ghostly Win is gonna have to wait a session.
I feel Win is definitely going to get hit theirs when we go into the mist and face danger and all this stuff. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, also the forges, I think, are going to be.
Yeah, I just want to see when Win rises up at that moment of danger and does whatever creepy ass ghost shit is going to happen, but it's going to be awesome.
I'm going to forewarn Win right now. The forges are coming. I'm going to be asking you for information and lore, so.
Okay. I'll
keep your brain thinking about that over the course of this week because that's going to be coming. I am not going to worry about leveling up just yet, but when I do level up, I will inform you all what I'm doing with my level up, because I believe that I believe you have the right to know at least some of those things that I do.
Yes, and I think we may have forged some bonds here.
Oh, is there a thing? It's not in the level up thing, but do tell me.
No, it's not part of leveling up.
Session.
It's just whenever it makes sense.
I see.
In which case, I feel like Varens forged a bond with our bandit friends.
I think that's. So there is a. Let me get to the thing. Incidentally, as many times as I said it in Scum and Villainy about putting tabs in the book and then never actually getting around to do it, you can be damn sure I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colored tabs in the Fellowship book. Forge a bond. When you bond with someone over something you did or shared together, record a bond with them on your sheet, describing the connection you two hold. A bond is a single sentence describing how you feel about them or what you two have done together, so on and so forth. If you forge a bond with someone outside the Fellowship, they will join your cause as a companion so long as the bond holds. You can always give something precious to someone to immediately forge a bond with them. All right. Virens. I think the talker. I think if I'm going to pick one or the other, I mean, I could do two. I don't really care one way or the other, but I feel like the one that was talking and like laying out most of like just wait, whoa. Are you going to keep us like? Can you keep them from pitchforking us if we join you? Kind of deal. Varens, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, sounds good.
So write down a bond. I'm curious to know how you um, express that. Other bonds. Other
So,
bonds.
I'd like to.
Carabas, I feel like Rowan forged a bond with you too.
With which you two?
Carabas.
Oh, yeah. Um,
And I'm going to write it down as Carabas can be trusted to be trusted to be discreet.
I don't. I
How does that fit with your limit on bonds?
I don't have a bond with Carabas.
Okay,
he can have a bond. He can have a single bond with per
got it,
person,
got it, got
and
it.
he only gets to start with two. Um, may, I'm just gonna make. You can write down whatever you want to write down. I would make a slight modification to that.
Okay.
Mostly,
Trusted to be sneaky.
I was gonna say Carabas can be trusted in tight situations.
Okay, that's better.
I mean, I'm just from a poetic point of view, it just seems.
Sure. And of course, it's true.
Uh, it's all true. Oh,
It's a hero in their own story.
this is going to cause me so many headaches. Nothing game related. I'm still, I believe I mentioned, in the process of trying to get all of my DVD collection, that sort of thing, like sort of transferred over to Plex, so I can, but I've hit the Lord of the Rings, and I have the extended ones, and Plex is not good at the like each movie being two different discs worth of movie. Like it's two different files, and it doesn't. There's no database that properly records that. So it's. I'm gonna have to. I'm pulling the movie files off, and then I'm gonna have to like. I don't know. Grab some sort of movie editing thing and see if I can stitch the two different files together into one big massive long thing and do that or something. I don't know. I'm gonna worry about it right now. Um, I added the Talking Bandit as a companion with two stats: Clever Cowardice and Crossbow Support. Can we steal it? Yes, we can. I don't know what that means. Bob the Bandit. Oh, Bob the Bandit. I like that.
So, thinking towards the future, I have
Uh-huh.
some weird things because okay, um, I can't have companions in the traditional sense. So
Yes.
if I bond with somebody outside of the group, then they're bonds, but they're not companions.
Right.
One of my potential bonds is a small army.
Say that again.
One of my potential bonds is a small army.
I mean, yes.
Donkeys, horses.
You're
I'm just working towards the time when my 20 people here become my small
your
army
small army of yeah.
at some time when we need it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I'd like to bond with the guy we saved.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah. Horace. Horace. He's
Is
well,
his head a falcon?
no,
Just asking.
not no. Horace. And I'll get the timid or the I'll say cautious, but I would describe myself as cautious, not timid. Crossbow support and what was the other one?
Clever cowardice.
Clever
Like
cowardice.
as long as your life is in danger, you'll think of a plan.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's great. I love I really do like the companion sort of system of the way the companions work, and having those guys at your disposal and that kind of thing. I imagine it can get quite daunting if you're traveling along, legitimately long term with this huge swath of people.
Well,
The bonds are there sort of to be spent too.
Well,
That's kind of part of it is that
it depends somewhat on how you like. Bonds are different depending on the people. Like with someone like Viren's, it's got a bit of a combat entourage, and you've got those their stats are meant to be used. You have a different kind of situation, but your bonds can be, if I'm remembering this right, your bonds can be like sort of marked useful, and you can kind of trade them in to say, they're not with me anymore, but before she left, she gave me
my bonds are useful and precious. So
right. So you can
um,
you can go like you cross off the bond, and it's like before she left, the innkeeper's wife or the cook gave me useful thing that I can pull out right now and describe what this useful is. I pull it out and it's the thing I need right now. So you can kind of those bonds become this sort of grab bag of useful crap that people have given you over time. Um,
right, but what I'm saying is that there's actually moves, standard moves for everybody that use
ah,
companion bonds, in terms of burning bonds instead of taking damage, or burning bonds to get a 10 plus, or
yep.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, all kinds of
Also,
useful stuff there.
Overlord, one of your moves is, or one of your cuts is to break our bonds.
Yep. And I might be well, we're gonna deal with that kind of stuff as we get in there because something's gonna come to the head before we come to a head before we go into the forges when it comes to the innkeeper and his wife. So maybe we aren't heading into the gate right away. We'll figure that out when we get started
I
next
have
time.
plans for that.
You have plans for that? Okay. All right.
I have a move.
You have.
Well,
I
actually, I have gear, but
I I I wait with bated breath. I am excited. I am excited to learn more. All right. Session 2. Um, I have no idea what we're going to call it, but there you go.
the
Uh,
Fellowship and the Small Army.
the smell. It's not a small army yet. The Fellowship and the Angry Mob. The Grumbling Mob.
Sure.
The Grumbling Mob. Slightly.
A
a
mob,
mob.
a mob of our
If you
own.
do that, you need to include the mob song from Beauty and the Beast.
No, we don't.
Yes, you really do.
New move until I see better what I need. Going to bump Grace. Okay. I believe in everybody who's doing their level ups and stuff like that. I need to go and look at my guy, but I'm not going to do that right now. Instead, I am going to wrap up because we didn't start wrapping up until now, and now we're going to be done wrapping up where we started last time. Get that all taken care of. So, guys, thank you very much. I am excited with how this is going, and it didn't take us a half an hour to open a door. It did take us a half an hour to leave the inn, but to be fair, everybody did stuff, and I think that was all pretty good. So I really pretty happy with how the action was sort of spread around in the activity and the doing of stuff. Although I think I owe Anne and Wins a little bit more dice time because I know Anne is just dying to see how the dice are going to treat. I am positive that's going to be a thing. I felt really bad. I'm going to stop here again. Thanks.